So good morning, everybody. About 2 weeks ago, I was asked to do the early morning hundok on Friday morning. Yeah, and I've spent the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks, making a new pop-up banner for Interfaith Milton Keynes, and I wanted to state, maybe publicly to you and to everybody, this is my home church area. It is the 360 people, 360 houses, which I personally serve. You come in as a stranger, you might appear as an enemy. And the process, the methodology of home church is you find the people who can receive your word, build a relationship, work with them, and you work with them by serving unconditionally. So some people do this through music, some people do it through Interfaith, some people do it through conferences. I would recommend that everybody has 360 people that they know they are serving. Yeah, the only person who's excused is Reverend Robin Marsh and Mrs. Margaret Ali, who have 3,600, not 360 addresses in their address book. But you should pray for the people in your home church area. It's interesting, 4 years ago, Robin Marsh had a picture of Queen Elizabeth on the back wall of his office in Lancaster Gate. He wanted to meet Queen Elizabeth. He really wanted to. And the Lord Lieutenant came up and said, I want you to go to Buckingham Palace to meet the Queen in a royal garden party. Who is your number 2? And he said, I bet my sister said, it's going to be me. And then she said, no, it won't be. It'll be your wife, won't it? And I said, no, it won't. It's Reverend Marsh, because he's the one who serves the most and who really wanted to meet the Queen the most. So we went together and I didn't speak to the Queen. I was 1.5 meters away from her. There were 3,000 people representing all the charities in the country. But it was a wonderful experience. Robin met many of the royal family. He met a member of the board of British deputies. What is it? The board of deputies of British Jews, who's currently an ambassador for peace, has been for many years. Yeah. What amazed me was that we have an Islamic institute in Milton Keynes, which is doing great work. Yeah, and the founder of that, I met at the door, at the garden gate. We just walked into each other, and me and Robin and this Muslim lady and her husband, we took photographs together. It was like God had anointed us, chosen us, guided us, amongst 3,000 people. We just went straight in. We were both from Milton Keynes, both from the same charity. I'm on her board of advisors. Yeah. So that was wonderful. Now, I left school at 15. Yeah. Not through my choice, but because I wasn't very good at school. And when my father picked me up from the driveway of the school, he said, if you ever go to university, what do you want to study? And I said, I want to study the world's religions. And he said, Ma, that's surprising. He said, you'll either find God or you'll become a profound atheist. So he didn't tell me what I was going to do. He left it open to me. But I've been interested in multi-faith really since I was 15, or probably since I was born, maybe, because my dad was an Anglican minister, and we couldn't even speak to Roman Catholics. So I was wondering, who is the other? Yeah. Jean-Paul Sartre said, l'enfer, c'est les autres. Yeah. As soon as if you're on your own, you have unity. As soon as there's somebody else, that's when hell starts. That's when conflict starts. It's a very Cain-type French ideology, but it's very interesting in its concept. Yeah. The other. Who is the other? Who is Auslander, l'étranger? Who is the foreigner? Yeah, Videsi. Videsi is what I was called in India. Desh is country, and so V is out of. So it means the person who comes out of the country, like the foreigner. Yeah, the insult in Korean is Miguk saram, and I said, "A니요, 나는 영국 사람입니다." I'm not American, but Miguk is a sort of insult for foreigner. Now, Interfaith works to break down these barriers. Yeah, I'm Jewish, therefore I hate Muslims. I'm Muslim, therefore I hate Jews. That is such an awful lie of a conflicting situation. I'm Jewish, I'm a son of Abraham. I'm Muslim, I'm a son of Abraham. Therefore, we're relatives. Therefore, we must share food, share prosperity, share love, and share your son with my daughter. That's the correct post-Reverend Moon attitude. Yeah? So the attitude of the world's religions is one of sectarianism, of self-centeredness, of enclosure. Yeah. So one of my missions in life, I feel, is to break down those barriers. So in 1985, True Parents started the Assembly of World Religions, and I was lucky. I was in India at the time, and 40% of the delegates at that conference came from the Indian subcontinent. So I knew some of them quite well, and it was really, really wonderful. 1988, I was invited to go to the Olympics, representing Sri Lanka, and True Father and True Mother invited us to Hanamdong, to their personal house. True Mother opened the door for us missionaries and bowed when we walked through. And I thought, wow, who am I? I'm just 24 years old, 25 years old, just a little guy. But and Father, over lunch, said, "You got any reports?" So Robert Kettle said, "Father, the divine principle states central providence and peripheral providence. One's chosen, the other one's rubbish." So in an Indian context, that really hurts. I'm chosen, I'm Christian. You're not, you're just a little one from another country. So I've been working to make different, like a central servant and the beloved of God, but not central and peripheral. He said, we got to change the linguistic programming of our language so that we can embrace mankind and not just the chosen few, because that leads to racism, chauvinism, and self-centeredness of attitude. And Father said, interesting, carry on. So Robert then said, Father, this was in the time of the Green Divine Principle book, which with its Jewish and Christian quotes was absolutely non-changeable. That was our Bible at the time. And Robert said, Father, I've taken all the Christian and Jewish quotes out of Green Divine Principle, and we've replaced them with Sikh, Buddhist, Hindu, and Muslim quotes. And the Father just said, yeah, I know what you're doing. I'm alert, And he said, in 10 years, this is 1988, he said, in 10 years, the Unificationists' ability to bridge interfaith will be crucial for building the kingdom of heaven. So I want you not to apologize. I want you to go and work harder, Work harder, do more research. That was about 3 years before the UTS made that beautiful World Scriptures book. So we were pioneering. We were just on our own. Robert was in Pakistan. I was in Sri Lanka. We had a couple of people dotted around, but we had to give lectures. We had to give 7-day lectures. We gave all the lectures to the early Nepal members, who are now quite well known. So, my home church area, my poster is 850 mil wide and 2,000 mil tall. So I thought I'd break it up into smaller bites for you. Yeah. The dove of Noah, of Prophet Nuh, was a school competition. We asked the children, if there's an interfaith association, what logo do you want to make? So this was the winning logo in Milton Keynes schools about 15 years ago now, I think. Yeah. So in this we have a Shia Muslim mosque. Yeah, we have a Nichiren Japanese Buddhist temple, Nipponzan Myohyoji, and we have the first church since King Henry VIII's Reformation, where Roman Catholics and Protestants have the same building as their headquarters church. Yeah, they don't unfortunately break bread at the same time because of Catholic law that the wine and the biscuit becomes the actual blood and body of Christ at the time of eating, the theory of transubstantiation. So we're still working on that a little bit. Yeah. Now, here we have the top left, the Roman Catholic headquarters. The Reformed synagogue in the middle is called Beit Ehud. Beit Ehud means house of unity. Yeah, Ech is always one, so Ehud is unity. And the logo on the altar on the top right is the tree of life. Yeah, so we all come from one tree of Adam and Eve. Yeah, we hold many meetings there. Top right is this is the one word that William didn't know, the word Kovil. Kovil is a Shaivite temple from southern India. So this is our first Kovil that we've built in India. You know southern Hindus from northern Hindus because southern Hindus put their vibhuti, their holy ash, horizontally, and northern Hindus do it vertically, down their noses like the Hare Krishnas do. Yeah. So we have a Shirdi Sai Baba charity in the orange jumper, the Sikh Gurdwara, and the new Milton Keynes Hindu Association on the right in the middle. Now, bottom left, this is a project which took about a year to 2 years to establish, but we have a Abrahamic women's choir. Most of you who know that that Islamic women in many sects are not allowed to sing because it's seen as being immodest. Yeah, so we had to find all of the people who would actually get up and serve the community and overcome their own culture in order to serve Milton Keynes. So we have complete unity between a number of mosques now and our Reform synagogue, which is very Reform. It's very modern and very open and lovely. So we do songs, and those from the 6,000 and 2,000 Blessing, that's the same orchestra which played holy songs for us in our 40th and 30th wedding anniversary. So in the middle bottom is a Sikh temple. The Guru Nanak was the founder of the Sikhs. He said, there is no Muslim, there is no Hindu. Yeah, Musalman nahi, Hindu nahi hai. Yeah, so what's he doing? Promoting Sikhs with all of their very unusual headgear and everything. That came from the 10th Guru. He was the first Guru. And very interestingly, the peak of Guru Nanak Dev Ji's mission was in 1517, same year as the dawn of the Protestant Reformation in Europe, when the 97 Theses were put on the wall. In the bottom right, there's the Satya Sai Baba group. Satya Sai Baba is one of these God-men of India who believes he's God. Yeah, I also agree, absolutely. Jesus was a God-man. He said, I'm in the Father and the Father is in me. This is your command that you become perfect as your Heavenly Father is perfect. He didn't shy away from those words, nor does Sai Baba. Top left is an Islamic cultural group. Top right is the Church of England. The vicar from this particular church is the Church of England's, the Oxford advisor for Interfaith for the Church of England. He was born in Madras, so he speaks Tamil. So he was the previous director of Interfaith before Krista and me. Yeah. Top right is the Hare Krishna, who come from Watford to have a yatra, a procession in Milton Keynes once a year. Bottom left, middle left, is the Mormon Church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We are increasingly working with that church because they said, we're too cut off. We're too much like a cult. If we join Interfaith, we can get out and we can meet every religion in the country and the world. It is God's will. Let's work together. So they've had a great growth of heart in our local area, in the Northampton area, and in the London area, where they invited Mitty and me to a religious freedom conference in the House of Commons last year. Very happy. The Satya Sai Baba from southern India is meant to be a reincarnation of Shirdi Sai Baba from northern India, who lived 60 years before. So this is a statue, a murti of Shirdi Sai Baba in the middle. Why the two groups don't unite, I don't know. Because if one's a reincarnation of the other, they should have one group, but instead they have three. Yeah, they have a Shirdi charity, a Shirdi temple, and a Satya temple. Yeah, and I go to all of them and I speak at all of them. I never hesitate. I never hesitate. I say what I mean. Yeah. Middle right is the Greek Orthodox Church in Stony Stratford. And we invited a Russian Orthodox priest to speak to our assembly. Since AD 400, the Greek Orthodox and the Russian Orthodox are not allowed to go into each other's services. Yeah, they fell out. Yeah, so what we did was we invited the Russian Orthodox from London, took a film, took photographs, and then sent a report to his bishop. And we said, well, tough, mate, we've broken it down. Might have taken 1,600 years, but in Milton Keynes, we're united. Yeah, and the priest was very happy about that report. He took it as a big victory for himself. Bottom left is Methodists. Bottom center is pagans. You know, the ley lines of Britain are the spiritual north, south, east, west lines, and Milton Keynes is on the central line, the central ley line of Great Britain, and that's why the central street is called Midsummer Boulevard, because at midsummer the sun comes straight down. The next road is called Avebury Boulevard, based on Avebury Hill by Cleeve House. Yeah, Silbury Boulevard is on the left, Avebury Boulevard is on the right. Avebury is the stone circle, Silbury is the hill on the other side of Cleeve House. Yeah, and the stones are set in the same shape as the Tongil logo. They're exactly, with a square in the middle, circle right in the middle of the middle, and 12 rays going out. So I think I am a pagan now, as well as a Unificationist, a Muslim, a Christian, a Hindu, and a Buddhist. And our Quaker Center at the bottom right does lots of work. So Father spoke at the Assembly's closing banquet. We come from different religious backgrounds. Our answers to the fundamental problems of human existence are not identical. Our understandings of the causes of human suffering don't have the same frame of reference. Our ways of seeking world peace are diverse, but still we have a common ground. All of us try to solve problems in the context of our relations with the ultimate. Yeah. So if we all go back to God, we all go back to, not to religion, but to spirituality of seeking God in our lives, seeking the living experience of the Almighty, then we're unified with everybody. We're not divided. As soon as we get into theological arguments and clothing and dietary. I've had so many arguments with the Hare Krishnas about vegetarianism. It really winds me up. It's so useless. Yeah? So, True Father said, I have become familiar with the content of the spiritual world through my own spiritual experience and by deep communication with the Absolute. I have learned God's will, love, and heart. And I think if Mother was a public figure in 1985, she would have said precisely the same thing. Yeah, that seems to be a quote from what Mother's saying now. Yeah. You know, that I have been to the throne of God. I know the heart of God. God lives in me and I live in God. And that's how I found my truth. Religion is not merely truth or ethical teaching, but centers on people's original impulse to find that upon which they can absolutely depend and relate with. This is the individual or the family or the culture finding the revelation of God. Not between cultures. This is personal. So I was thinking of the heart of Prophet Muhammad and the heart of Reverend Moon. Yeah. Do you think Reverend Moon was happy, calm, cool on Easter morning when he was 15 or 16 years old to have a vision of Jesus appearing in front of him? Or do you think he was totally freaked out? Yeah? I mean, totally freaked out. So, Prophet Muhammad was, 400 or 500 years after Jesus. He gained revelation from the angel Gabriel, and his followers wrote it down. Yeah? And I always thought, every Muslim says, he's wonderful, he's high, he's holy, he's the best man, he's the da-da-da-da-da. What was he actually feeling? It took me years and years and years and years of research. He hid from the world in this cave, in Mount Hira, in order to clarify his mind and to understand what his revelations meant before he came back down to the city to write it. But Prophet Muhammad was married to a woman called Khadija. Yeah? Khadija was possibly 15 years older than Muhammad. And unlike most modern Islamic countries, she was a top business lady. Yeah? She ran a truck company. Yeah, which is the camel train in the bottom left. She went from Syria to Israel to basically shipping goods from the Arabian Peninsula back to the Mediterranean Sea. Yeah, she had inherited that business from her father, who founded the business. But she was a very successful woman. She employed Muhammad, and she said, Muhammad, you've got two things. One, you're really nice. You're beautiful. Yeah? And two, you're honest. And I want to employ honest employees, especially lovely, honest employees. And she ended up marrying him. Now, it says in the Holy Quran, Muhammad did not understand when Angel Gabriel came to him and said, you're chosen. Can you imagine Mother Mary being told that by an angel? Don't worry about your pregnancy. You're chosen. Just go ahead. It'll be all right. If that happened in your living room or your bedroom, how would you feel? Yeah, being chosen by God. So Khadija is called the mother of compassion because what she did, Muhammad said, I'm hearing voices. I think I'm going mad. I'd better lock myself up or run away. She said, these are not random voices. You're the chosen one of God for this age. You must seriously write down what you're being told because you're chosen as a prophet. Yeah? What did Muhammad say in the Holy Quran two things which are my reading of the Holy Quran. One, Israel, why didn't you recognize that Jesus was your king? You're foolish. You're mad. He was the king. And secondly, Christianity, don't think that Jesus is a magical being. He's not magical. He's human, and he will come back, and you prepare yourselves. That's what the Holy Quran is about. Yeah, it's admonition to the Jews and the Christians. Yeah, which I absolutely agree. That's how I would like to say when I go into the mosque or into the synagogue. Come on, let's wake up and smell the coffee. The Messiah must come back, and he comes back not as a revelation, but as a human. As a human couple, he didn't mention. Yeah, he didn't know that. Yeah. So there's a picture of Khadijah. So God's motivation of creation, as William preceded already, the ideal of love, happiness, and peace is not possible for an individual in isolation. It can be found in relationship with one another. So God's happiness, God's peace, God's ideal of love is made in his relationship with us. I think that's really, really quite clear. And in this sense, how precious is the original human being? Yeah, God and human being are parent and child. Father has mentioned that so many times, so clearly. So the messianic hope, the hope of this age is the Messiah comes and builds the kingdom of heaven. I left this slide from Friday because I like the middle paragraph. As far as I know, God is not sectarian. I mentioned last week, we got H1 and H2 and H3, H4, H5, H6 group. And somebody in the audience said, what's H6? And I said, I'm only being silly. Father said to us, we must not split up into denominations. When he came back from the Soviet Union, having met the president and President Ghani Zail Singh of India, he said, I'm praying for the unity of the Soviet Union. And we thought, that's a bit funny. We thought the Soviet Union was our enemy. But Father didn't want it to break up into little countries which end up bombing each other. That is horrendous against the will of God. You're using your resources to burn, maim, and kill. It's outrageous. So Father said, through interreligious dialogue and harmony, we should realize one ideal of a world of peace, which is God's purpose of creation and the common ideal shared by humankind. Now, this is a picture of Buddha. Those of you who know the Buddha story, I apologize for repetition, but this may be interesting. I had to give a lecture in Kandy in Sri Lanka to an audience, none of whom believed in God. So I remembered Sigmund Freud in Vienna. He was getting booed by the audience. So he made a shocking statement. He said, sex. And everybody went shocked. And he said, you see, now will you give me the dignity of listening to what I've got to say? He said, it is a problem because it's your problem. He said, now please listen to what I've got to say. And I thought, I'm going to repeat what Sigmund Freud said. So I said, Buddha had sex problems. And the audience of students, for the first time, they'd gone through my chapter 1. They were bored out of their heads. Yeah, but chapter 2, and put that to the perfect and pure Buddha. That was outrageous. So let me quantify this. It's interesting. Buddha was a prince of a northern Indian region. His father had been told, if you keep your son in the palace, he will become a great political leader. If he leaves the palace, he will become a renunciate and he'll be a great religious leader in the world. So the father bought him a Nintendo, bought him lots of food, gave him girlfriends, locked him up basically in a really sheltered life. And one day Buddha looked over the wall of his castle and he saw a sick man, an old man, and a dying man. And he said, life is full of suffering. I got to take personal responsibility to end human suffering. So he said, I'm going to leave. But he just got married and he just had a baby. Yeah? Here is his beautiful wife and his beautiful son, Rahula. And he thought, if I lean over my wife and kiss Rahula goodbye, which I really, really want to do, she'll wake up. And when she cries, I won't be able to get out of the palace and gain enlightenment. So what he did was he apologized spiritually and he just left without saying goodbye to his wife and to his son. Broke his heart, but he just left. He just quit. And that's what it is on the horse. They just jumped on a horse and went out and started fasting and praying in the wilderness, in the jungle, under a bow tree. Bow tree, just for William, the Latin name of the bow tree is ficus, which is fig, ficus religiosa. Yeah, it's the fig that you find religion from. So later on, Rahula came back to claim his granddad's political empire. And when he came back to the palace, he said, no, this is wrong. I don't want a life of richness and political power. I will become a follower of Buddha. So he became a follower, and then his mother later on also became a follower. She became the first female monk, or bhikkhuni, in the tradition of Buddhism. Yeah? And she also gained great spiritual height. She never treated Buddha as her husband, just as her master. Yeah, from then onwards. So, every religion should work beyond its own benefit to liberate the world from poverty and disease. Yeah, this is Father's words. The Messianic mission is practical. It is not ideological, it's practical. We've got to end racism. We've got to end hatred. We've got to end warfare. We've got to end starvation. We've got to end self-centeredness in politics, in society, in our country, in our region. Yeah, it's not an ideal. Which is airy-fairy. It's an ideal which is really practical. So by the practice of love and the burning conviction of faith, our witness will convince even atheists of the truth of the living God. Only through a religious and spiritual revolution, bringing great harmony, love, and compassion, will we finally realize the ideal of peace. Now, I'm misquoting this quote because I can't remember. It's from the home church era. But one guest in Lancaster Gate said, I really hate Reverend Moon, but I love you. You're good. You're all right. That's why I came. I thought, yeah, that's the witness, That's the witness. We are the living witness of the presence of God. If people see God in us, they will find God. If they don't, they won't. Yeah, this is your sermon last week, Pastor. So thank you. Yeah. So unificationism and interfaith. This is from a different book. This is my last quote here. Why do you think I created this organization which stirred up controversy in the religious world? Since we can't find unity even within one Christian denomination, my insistence that I will create a unity of the world's religions from a perspective transcending particular religions makes it seem as if I lost my mind. I mean, it's a big wish, is it not? Yeah, to overcome everybody's culture of hatred and replace it with a culture of love and mutual codependence. Yeah, even though I'm fully engaged in the work of harmonizing religions, most unificationists around the world still need to learn more about the importance of this. For religions to come together, there must be common key points within the differing views of the various faiths that all religions share. I have to arm the members of the Unification Church with such understanding, giving them the conviction that they will be able to overcome the difficulties they face in the world. While determining how to do this, I had to go all the way to God's throne, to the source of ideas. So let us spend some time in prayer.